Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Let's Learn Smite Gods Gear and Meta. Uh, as all of you know, during the week while I'm live streaming, people come by the chat and they'll request me to play some gods and try out some gear builds, and I'm more than willing to try it. I love to learn new gear and meta. So this past week, one of the viewers, Icanchokeair, came by with this cool basic attack hunter build, and he wanted me to play Rama with it. So I cracked out some Rama, played the build, and started to realize, wow, this is a really good build. It's very strong for basic attack hunters, and started trying it on the rest of the hunters. So I went through Chiron, Artemis, Rama, Cupid, Ah Muzen Cab, Apollo, and Medusa, and pretty much throughout all of them, the build just stayed strong. Tried it in multiple modes on all the different gods, and it really works out well, surprisingly. Now, granted, the build doesn't work in all scenarios. I mean, you're going to run into some scenarios where you have to do some counter building, and that's just a general part of it. But if you're trying to learn some hunters and you want to have a fun build, you want to have fast movement, you want to, be able to do some pew, this build just might work for you. So let's get into the build. Let's go through it piece by piece. We're going to change it up this week. We're not going to go into game. So, first piece of build, Warrior Tabby. Now, Warrior Tabby gives you 40 to physical power and 18% to movement speed. Uh, you don't necessarily need the Ninja Tabby for the attack speed because you're going to have plenty of attack speed from the rest of the items in the build. So getting that little bit extra physical power, it does kind of help in this build to make you just a little bit stronger for the abilities you do have. Might as well get the extra 20. But you're going to start off with a tier 2 of this build, 900 gold there at the beginning of the game if you're playing in 3v3, because you're going to get the tier 1 of the next piece. Very worthwhile piece, and very strong. Now, when you get the tier 2 at the start of the game, you're going to get a tier 1 of Archival. So 600 and the 900 is going to be 1500. You're not going to be able to get any pots or anything, so you're going to have to be a little bit cautious from the start of the game. And since you don't have lifesteal or anything, you're just going to have to dodge a little bit of the poke. But if you can pull that off as the build gets built, you're going to get really strong. Now, with a Archival, you get 30% to your attack speed, and you get 10 to physical penetration, and then you can get your passive. Every successful basic attack increases your physical power by 10 and reduces your target's physical power from items by 10 for 3 seconds, max of 3 stacks. So you get physical power of 30 in total from 3 hits. And you get 30% attack speed from this second item that at most it costs 1700 in total on top of the boots. So these first 2 items you're going to get relatively quick. You should have it within the first few minutes of the game, and it's going to give you a relatively okay power ramp up, because normally a lot of people when they're playing hunters are going to get transcendence first and start their stacks, because the ramp up of power from the stacks is really nice while you're leveling up. You're going to feel like you're not really falling off in damage. You're still staying strong as the game is going on. But with the Archival and the Warrior Tabby, at least you're building that physical power and you're getting attack speed. And with the basic attack hunter build, you're going to want attack speed. You're going to want to send out as many basic attacks as you possibly can, because you're not really building too much into damage until late game with this build. So Archival's second piece, give it a shot. So you're going to have the tier 2 of the boots and the tier 1 of this from the start of the game, and then you finish building the boots, and then you get your Archival, which is only going to be 1100, so it's not going to be that long till you have these first 2 pieces. Then after that, you're going to need to get a little bit of survivability, and you do that with Aussie. Aussie, you're going to get 15% to your physical lifesteal, you get 20% to attack speed on top of the 30% you already have from the Archival, 15 to physical penetration on top of the 10 you already have, so you're building your pen as this build is going. You're building your attack speed as the build is going, and now you're getting 15% physical lifesteal. It's really strong. You'll feel at this point, and also, I must say, relatively cheap. 1780 is not that expensive for a piece of gear. By this point, you're going to get a good amount of survivability. You should be getting pots while you're doing this. Every time you back, I was getting maybe like 2 healing pots, 2 mana pots. Unless I needed like a sentry ward, I would skip the healing pots, you know. But then when you get Aussie, with all the attack speed, you're getting a lot of hits out, so you're getting, you know, your life back. You're gonna feel like you're staying in lane longer and giving you that chance to stay in lane longer. Now the passive, if you drop below 35% health, you gain an additional 25% physical lifesteal for 5 seconds. Can only occur once every 15 seconds. It's always going to be up and ready for any of the, you know, situations. Like I've said in the previous videos, 15 seconds is not really a long time. It's not like a bulwark cooldown timer. It's very short. So as the fights are happening, you're gonna have that nice little passive up and ready to rock and roll. And with the attack speed you have, you're sending out so many hits, you're getting so many chances to get health back. You could really, if you get down low, and if the enemy team runs away, you run to a camp, you start hitting the minions in the camp, getting some health back. You run to the lane, start hitting the minions there, you'll get health back. You can get back up to full bar of health relatively fast as long as you have the RC. And like I said, with the physical penetration, even the tanks, you're not feeling like the tanks are out defending your damage. You're able to still do the damage you need to do to those tanks to stay aggressive and keep your team pushing. So third piece, cheap third piece, really on point. Aussie, really strong. And now you've got your survivability. You're going to need to get some push ability here. And you're trying to keep up the attack speed because this is a basic attack hunter build. You're leveling up. You know, you need to be sending out even more basic attacks. So, Hasten Fatalis. And on the live stream, I always, Hasten Butalis. I loved this in Season 2. And Choke giving this build and getting the chance to rock the Hasten Fatalis again has been such a joy. It's so much fun to use. You get 30% attack speed, 10% movement speed, and the passive, when a basic attack hits a target, this is the basic attack hunter build, the attacking movement speed debuff is removed from you for 1 second, aka you're going to keep on moving at full speed and not suffer any downsides of trying to send out that basic attack. And sometimes to catch up to that god that's running away from you, hitting them that without one basic attack will keep you on their bum while they're running away from you, especially if they're running in a straight line. Hasten Fatalis, oh, it's so great. Because once it lands, you're just like, yep, I'm running after you. You know, like, if they're not juxing you, you're not going to miss and get that debuff from the movement. Really strong piece. 30% attack speed. So now you're sitting there at, you know, nearly 2 on your attack speed. It is so fast. Your shots are going out so fast. You're able to now backpedal while shooting with the Hasten Fatalis, and you've got the lifesteal from the Aussie rocking. You're able to strafe even as fast as, you know, full movement speed, so any other hunters that are out there are really going to have to be on their game with their basic attacks to do damage to you, or even with irregular attacks. If you're versing a melee character, you're able to spin around them while strafing, you know, so that they can't land those melee basic attacks on you. Everyone's gonna have a hard time hitting you. That's why I kind of like Hasten Fatalis quite a bit. That movement speed just becoming so hard to hit is, in and of itself, a way of survival more than what even some pieces of gear can give you. You know, it's a meta in and of itself. If you can make yourself unhittable without needing a gear or anything else, you're adding to your gameplay something that really can't be bought or given or earned. It is something beyond important. So Hazen Fatalis, using it as just a functional piece instead of like a piece that's just like giving you like a ton of power or anything. I mean, it's just giving you attack speed, movement speed, and then you know, taking off the debuff. It's not giving you anything other than that. It's not giving you power or anything. You know, you're getting a chance to hit with more basic attacks. You're getting a chance to keep up with the enemy running away, and you're getting a chance to run away and jukes as much as humanly possible. For this build, which is not like power heavy, the function of hasten just so important. And also 2140, it's, you know, more expensive than pieces you got before, but still it's relatively low. It's not like a Deathbringer purchase at this point. So you're getting these first 4 pieces for relatively cheap prices, and they're giving you a meta of gameplay that's going to work in most modes, and it's going to work in most cases. It's really strong. And then after that, you're going to want to get even more pen, a little bit of power. So we've been getting Titan's Bane. Uh, Still pretty cheap, 2,050 in gold. You can get 30 physical power, and all of your physical attacks gain 33% physical penetration. So now at this point, with the pen you've got from your other pieces on top of this, any tank who's by now bought some piece to defend against you, like Breastplate of Valor, something, whatever they're going to get, whatever their flavor is of defensive gear, you're pretty much hitting through that as much as you really can without getting negative effects to the rest of the stats that you're going to be building. And Titan's Bane, just in general, is a wonderful piece of just straight pen. You don't have to land basics to get your pen. You don't have to do anything special to get your pen. You're just getting straight pen on everything you do. So you're hitting Tower stronger, you're hitting the Fire Giant stronger, you're hitting anything that's got defensiveness stronger. And since you've got Hasten, you've got the Life Steal, you're going to now feel your damage ramp up that much more, especially on the tanks. Because I was finding the tanks were really the only things that were not getting hit as hard as the other builds with, like Transcendence and, other pieces I was building in the other videos and on the live stream. So again, Titan's Bane here is your 5th item. Really strong. It works out really well. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. There is some cases where if they have a healer, you can switch out for maybe Beat Stick here, because you have enough pen from the other 2 pieces. You'll still be on a little bit lower end in comparison in pen builds, but you can rock the Beat Stick if they do have like a Chang or something that's just doing a little bit too much healing for your liking. If people in any of the team fights, if you find that they're just not falling, they're getting to really low healths and getting away, you can just pop out the Beat Stick there instead of the Titan's Bane, and it'll still feel as strong. It's not gonna really be like too much of a difference. So it's a worthwhile thing to keep in mind, because in any situation you're gonna need to do some form of counter building, and that Beat Stick does come in relatively handy in that scenario. Uh, After that, we would need to get some power into the build, but you don't really necessarily want to stop getting your attack speed, right? You're a hunter. You want to get as fast to those basic attacks as possible. You want them to hit fast. So, kin size. Kin size, you get 40 physical power, you get 15% attack speed. It's not the most attack speed, but really by this point, you're relatively close to what you're going to have at your most of your, high end of your attack speed. With this one, on basic attack hits, deal physical damage equal to 4% of the target's maximum health. This only affects gods. 2,700, so now you're getting into the expensive pieces in the build. So all the rest of the pieces, you're getting relatively fast. By the time you need to back, you should be able to get all those pieces of gear. You're never really going to be backing, if you're backing on your own, before you can afford those pieces. You get them pretty fast. And especially in a 3v3 Joust game, you need your gear fast. So now by this point, you're looking to kind of finish up your build. So you go with the kin size. Kin size is really, really strong, especially if you're versing a comp that has multiple people with higher health points. So if you're versing like maybe a comp with a tank and a warrior, or a tank and a bruiser assassin, the kin size at this point with all of your attack speed, you're hitting for, two a second sometimes, basic attacks, and you're getting 4% added on to every single one of those hits. Because this is on basic attacks only. This is the basic attack build for the basic attack hunter. And, so if you're in that scenario, once you get the kin size at this point, you're hitting fast, they're not able to peel off you, you're able to backpedal while shooting them, so you're dealing out just a ton of damage at this point. You're going to feel your damage almost as if it goes through the roof at this point with the extra damage you're adding onto it. And now in this build, so you're thinking you've got Warrior Tab, you've got a Kaival, you got Aussie, you've got Hasten, you've got Titan's Bane or Beatstick, and now you've got Kin Size. You're like, all right, you probably send there maybe 14 minutes into the game, 14 to 18 minutes into the game, let's say, and you want to feel even stronger. So we were tinkering with a build, and we came up with the idea of switching out the Icanchokeair. So, because really Icanchokeair, if you look at the Icanchokeair there, you get 30% to attack speed. That is the greatest part of it by this point in the game. It's like, all right, 30% attack speed, that's a lot. 10 to your physical penetration, it's not really that much. And then basic attacks increase your physical power, so you get another 30 physical power onto your build, and reduces your target's physical power by 30. It's not really by that point in the game. They're going to have so much gear, it's not going to matter really how much physical power they have. So, Icanchokeair, mid to late game, on really any build you're going to use, I would say sell it back for something by the point of time where you've got 6 pieces. Sell it back. You know, it was really cheap to get in first place. The upside of it was that it was so cheap. So, we were selling it back and getting Deathbringer. You know, so you're getting 30 physical power from the Icanchokeair. Now you're getting 50 physical power. So you're adding just straight 50. You don't have to land your hits to gain this 50 physical power. But you're getting 20% critical strike chance. So you still have a ton of attack speed because most of your other pieces have attack speed to them, you know, but now you're adding 20% crit chance. So 1 in 5 hits should be critting for you, and sometimes multiple in a row will crit, you know, just the way crit works. And when you do crit, your critical strike damage is increased by 40%. So this on top of your kin size, just by that point in time, you're able to just melt the enemies. It is so, so unbelievably strong. But this being the most expensive piece, usually by this point, it's nice that you're selling back a Kaival to get this. Instead of having to sit there and wait at like the 1500 tier 2 there, you're able to kind of just like sit back, you know, for a little bit, and then you sell back the Kaival. The gold you get from that, you put it towards Deathbringer, and you should get it pretty fast. It's not going to feel as expensive, and it's not going to take as long as it would normally, because you're utilizing the fact that you're selling back a piece. Now, though, Deathbringer, if the enemy team doesn't have a high health comp, like, you know, we were saying for the kin size, the tank and the warrior comps, or the tank and the bruiser assassin comps, you can switch out the kin size for this Deathbringer. So Deathbringer can be your 6th piece, and then you sell back the Kaival for kin size still, so you could still hurt the tank a little bit faster, and you'll get the attack speed. But still, it will work if you get this instead of the kin size. And if you're just a fan of a Kaival, you're like, I don't want to sell a Kaival, then you're still okay. Keep it. You know, enjoy a Kaival. If you land your basic attacks well, you know, Kaival is okay, but I definitely recommend selling it back for either the kin size or the Deathbringer, depending on the scenario of what the comp you're versing is. Now, with all of these pieces, if you are, you know, in arena or another mode, it's still going to work okay. I would say, though, in Conquest, it's a little bit tougher. I tried it once in Conquest, and the way Conquest is, the things that you really are required to have to survive and deal out damage, it's a little bit weaker in that scenario. But this is for 3v3, and honestly, in 3v3 in Arena, even in Assault, it's not bad. Siege, you can crack it out. Any mode that really is in Conquest, it's relatively okay. In Arena, it's a ton of fun. Crack out Artemis in Arena. The other night, I did 55,000 player damage with her, with this build. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. The enemy team was so pissed, you know, that it happened. It's worthwhile to do. But yeah, any of these hunters you see right here, ding, uh, give them a try. Let me know what you think. Comment this video with what you thought of the build, if you enjoyed it, what your numbers were looking like, and if you think there's any changes or other pieces of gear to get, like maybe Malice works better than Deathbringer. Uh, it could be possible. I haven't really tried that one yet, but maybe it is. But hope you like the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and come by the Twitch sometime. Let me know a build. Let me know what god you want me to play. I'll play anything and try out any build, and we see how it works. And if it works, then maybe you'll be episode 4 or 5 with a build. Who knows? But till then, have a good one. Bye-bye.